Good morning, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about measures of variability. Now, measure of variability describes how far spread out the data is. We're going to use a box and whisker plot later to help us visualize this. The first thing I want to talk about is the inner quartile range. So the inner quartile range. Also called the IQR. Now, the IQR splits the data into 4 equal parts. So later when we talk about the 4 equal parts, we're talking about 25%. It splits it into 25%. This represents the middle 50% of the data, and we will see this later on our box and whisker plot. First, to find the IQR, we should first order the data from least to greatest. Now, the data that we are going to use today are the quiz scores from last week. So, here are the quiz scores from last week. '89, 90, 68, and a 72. Okay. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we have 11 scores from last week. Now, like I said, the first thing we need to do is we need to order these from least to greatest. So we see that 42 is the least. Okay, I'm going to mark that one out. And then we go to 68, 72. I'm going to mark these out as I go. That way we don't have any duplicates. 72. We have 2 75s. We have an 87, an 89, a 90. Mark these out. 92, 95. Let me scoot this over so you can see it. And a 96. Okay. Now, that should have taken care of all of our quiz scores. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. So, now, the second thing we need to do is to find the median. Now, in order to find the median is, if we remember, is just the midpoint of the data set. So we have 11, so this is how I like to do it if we're not too, if our data set's not too large. So I'm just going to start on each side and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gives me a median of 87. Okay, so there's our median, 87. Now, if we remember correctly, if we get down to the median and there are 2 numbers, we're going to add those together and divide by 2, and that'll give us a true median. Now, the third thing we need to do is find the median of the upper and lower quartiles. Now, when we're talking about this, and I might have to rewrite it, but when we're talking about the upper and lower quartiles, we're going to talk about the upper quartile would be this, and the lower quartile would be the bottom set of the data on each side of our median. Now, I'll start with the upper quartile first. So, just like we did with the the whole data set, I'm going to do it the same way. So I'm going to start at 89 and 96 and then work my way in. And then that's going to give me, now we call this 92, this is going to be the third quartile. Okay, you also see it denoted as Q3. Okay, so what this is saying is the third quartile is 92. Now, if you remember correctly, up here, remember I said 25%? Okay, so if we go down here to the lower quartile, and we do the same way, we're going to start at 42 and 75, 68, 75, and 72 is our, I'm going to draw a little arrow here. I wrote that median in the wrong place. So the lower quartile, which is also going to be called this median of the lower quartile, okay, the first quartile, or Q1, is 72. Okay, everybody can see that. Now, like I said, 25%. Okay, so 25% of the grades are below Q1. This would basically be the median would be your Q2. Okay, so we have 25%, 25%, 25%, and 25%. Okay, now these will be used later in some questions that we will answer later on, or you will answer to other questions. Okay, so make sure you are taking notes, okay, and writing what I have written down here. Now, it's probably going to look better than mine, but we already know that that's the case in most instances. Okay, now, okay, so we can find the interquartile range. Okay, so we went through steps 1. We ordered from least to greatest. Okay, step 2, we found the median. Step 3, we found the first quartile and the third quartile. Okay, and the fourth thing we need to do is find the IQR, sorry. Okay, and to do this, we're going to subtract the third quartile. So we're going to take Q3 and subtract, I'll write it down here, Q3, and we're going to subtract Q1. Now, this is going to give you the middle, and like I said, we're going to see this on our box and whisker plot. This is going to give you the middle 50% of our data. So that's going to equal your IQR, your interquartile range. Okay, so if you remember in this case, the Q3 was 92, and the Q1, the first quartile, was 72. So we subtract those, and we get an IQR of 20. Okay, so now let's create our box and whisker plot. Now, this box and whisker plot can help us answer a lot of questions. Okay, so and we'll see that here shortly. So we first need to make our horizontal line here. Like I said, it's not going to be perfect. Okay, so we're going to start at 40. And then our next one, we'll do 50. We'll go in increments of 10. And then we'll have 60. We will have 70. I'm trying to space these out about right, but okay. It's 80. We have 90. And we know that we go a little bit farther than 90, so I'm going to go ahead and make 100. Okay? Now, down below here, I'm going to write what we already know. Okay, and this is how we're going to set up our box and whisker. So, the first thing that I found out, okay, was our median. Okay, and our median, if you remember, was 87. So I'm going to come in here. That's about halfway, so I'm going to go just a little bit further over. This is going to be about 87 right here. Okay? Now, let's look at our Q1. If you remember, our Q1 was 72. So I'm going to go to 70 and come over here to the 2. That looks about right. So, there's my Q1. Okay. And I'm going to go to my Q3. That was 92. Okay. So here I'm at 90. 90, about 92 right here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make my box. And my little whiskers will represent the outliers, okay, not within the 50%, the middle 50%, okay. So my minimum number on the test scores, or on the quiz score, sorry, was about a 42. So I'm about right in here, okay? So I'm going to draw a line from my min all the way over to my first quartile, okay? And now my max number, sorry, I need to put 42. My max score was a 96. So we're about halfway. I'm guessing about 96 is right there. Okay. Now, in looking at the box and whisker, we can see that the actual middle 50% scored between a 72 and a 92. Okay, so half of the class was right in here. Okay, so one person scored out here on a 42 and one person scored a 96. So some of the questions that we can look at and answer with this are number one, at least 75% of the students received what score? Okay, sorry. At least 75% of the students received a score of what or more. Okay? So if we remember, this point to this point is 25%. This point to this point is 25%. This point to this point, 25%. And this point to this point, 25%. Okay? So the question is asking, okay, what score did 75% of the students score above? Okay, at least 75% of the students scored above what? Okay, so we come in here, there's 25, 50, 75. So at least 75% scored above the what? The Q1 score of 72. Okay, so those are some questions that we can answer. So I want you all to finish up with your, go to your Google Classroom and start on handout 5 and 6, which is going to ask questions about the interquartile, and you're going to answer questions based off the box and whisker plots. Okay, thank you. Have a good day.